Welcome to The Part-Time CEO, a podcast about building a business whilst navigating everything else life brings with it. I'm Louise Stevens, a marketing strategist and business mentor. Before starting my own business, I spent nearly 9 years working at Australia's largest travel retailer, starting in retail travel sales before moving into recruitment and talent management, where the team I was part of was recognised with a National ARIE Award. That experience shaped how I think about people, communication, and connection. Today, I work with service-based business owners to grow their visibility and attract the right clients without falling into the trap of doing more, pushing harder, and losing balance along the way. That's what this podcast is about. Before we dive in, I've created a free resource for you. It's a simple visual of what I call the client attraction method, a way of approaching visibility and growth that actually works long term. You can download it via the link in the show notes. Now, let's get into today's episode.
I had a call last week with a business owner regarding their social media and their content marketing. And there's something that really stuck with me from that call. And it's something that I hear all the time. And maybe you're feeling that way too. What they said to me was, I'm putting all this work in, time, effort, money, and I don't even know if it's working. Now, if that does sound like you, you are 100% not alone. So, hi, and of course, welcome to this week's episode of the Part-Time CEO podcast. I'm Lou, I'm the host, and today I want to talk about that common message that I hear from many business owners about whether the time and effort and potentially money they're putting into their content marketing, and in this case, specifically social media marketing, is actually working with them in their business or getting them nowhere. And if that does sound like you too, then this episode is going to be perfect. So I have written some notes here because this episode to me is really important. It's basically the crux of a lot of the work that I do, specifically in Social Renegades, which is the marketing agency arm of my business. And also something that I do with business owners who have started podcasts, who have been marketing them, but don't feel like they're necessarily getting the engagement and the traction that they would like. So I am a self-taught marketing specialist. I didn't go to university. I don't have any, obviously, flashy degrees or anything like that. My marketing experience comes from a place where I was terrible at it, but I refused to let my failures, let's call them, become the reason why I couldn't attract clients on social media platforms. Now, you've likely heard my story. If you haven't, I'll share it another day. But fundamentally, a very short message of it is when I left corporate, I knew how to help people. I was really passionate about it. I had an idea. I had the concept. I was excited, but the missing link between that passion and love that I had, and actually attracting paying clients to fund my business and ultimately pay my bills and live my life, came in marketing. So I invested $20,000 in a marketing program, and then I invested another $9,000 into Facebook ads. Before I actually attracted one single lead. Now that's a lot of money, isn't it? Almost $30,000 to attract one paying client. And ironically, that one paying client came from something that sparked my knowledge of marketing. That actually came from putting a free resource out into a Facebook group, which triggered the light bulb moment of where I had been going wrong. Now, I had been told in my marketing program two things. Lou, I don't think you're going to get this. If I was you, I would go back to corporate. Now, I'm not the type of person, one, who can be told what to do. I can be very stubborn. And two, that wasn't okay with me. I didn't want to go back to corporate. I wanted to be able to give my business a real shot. So the two reasons why I got told that I would never get content marketing and copywriting was one, because I was corporate and I talked in a language that was too corporate for an online audience. And two, I was an academic. I've been to university, I've been taught how to, we've been encouraged large word counts, we've been taught how to fill those out as opposed to be punchy, witty, and engaging. So I am still an ex-corporate and I'm still an academic. So if you relate to that, I can promise you, if I can get content marketing, then you can too. Because really, it is all about being able to build relationships with people through the part of their brain that is reading the content and making words emotional, as opposed to what we're doing now, where you can connect with my energy and hear my words and connect in a different way, in a human to human type of way. So that's a short, I guess, story on the background of how this all came to be. And as I mentioned at the start, this is an area where I work a lot with clients. So I attract clients who, one, aren't doing any marketing and they need to start doing some. It's easy in order to be able, it's not easy, but it's an easier place to start because there's a clean slate. And then you don't look back on history, you just start trying different things in order to be able to get results. Now, the alternative is when clients come to me and their marketing isn't necessarily working for them, or they're unsure of whether it is. Now, the ways in which you can see whether marketing is working for you is if, the views of your content are continually increasing. If people are engaging, liking, hearting, commenting, and ultimately, if people are going to your website and also sending you messages, asking more about what you do, how you can help them, and they're starting to ask questions about the problem you solve, and it's the problem that they have. So if you're not seeing any of that, then I would say, yes, you do have a marketing problem. And we're going to talk about that today, and a few things that you can start looking at, which are the same things that I look at, to be able to help you have more confidence in what you're doing, make some changes, explore different things, and ultimately do what it is that we want our marketing to do, and that is attract paying clients to our business. So the first thing that happens is when somebody contacts me about their marketing, I do a social media review or a report. And that's a paid service where some people just want to have a look at what's going on and then go off and make those changes and make some implementation themselves. And then from there, sometimes people will become clients as well, because we've been able to show them the areas that they are doing really well, the areas that they're not doing so well, and the practical things that they could be doing, but they don't have the time, they don't have the knowledge and the energy, and they would like to outsource that to experts. Again, doesn't mean that everything is perfect from post one. It still requires trial, error, analyzing. But this information all comes from these social media audits that I do to be able to give you the knowledge, which is what I've written down here in terms of roughly the steps I take. So firstly, when I do this, I talk to my clients and I get some information and some background around who their ideal client is, maybe their competition, what they're trying to achieve, what all of their goals are, and who the people are that they're trying to achieve those goals for. So one of the gaps I see from many is that this person, or sometimes these people, they're really unclear on who that person is. Now, when we first start a business, we haven't really narrowed down yet, right? It's like throwing spaghetti at a wall and it's hoping it's going to stick. It's also really terrifying when I know I used to see this message a lot, to niche down or create a tighter customer avatar so that you're no longer talking to everybody and you're now only talking to the people that you really are an expert in helping. Now, why that can be terrifying is because you are all of a sudden going from marketing to billion people on the internet to a smaller minority. And our brain is potentially telling us, but if I market to many, maybe I'll be able to attract people that I can help. But it's actually the reverse. When we're marketing to many, our ideal clients don't know that we're trying to market to them, right? It's very generic. We don't want a generic brand. We want to be seen as the expert in the space that we are helping people in. Now, I also appreciate that sometimes when we start businesses, I have been one of those people, I don't know who it is I specifically want to help, right? I can help lots of people with lots of things. Now, I truly believe that in order to be able to attract the right customer or client to my business and do the work that really lights me up, I need to be marketing to that person. So I've been doing this now for 10 years, and I know that when I work with people in their business that aren't aligned to my values, that aren't aligned to my expertise, and I'm being asked to do things or try to learn things that aren't in my area of expertise, or, I guess out of an integral alignment, I know that's really draining. I know that that drains a lot of passion. It makes me depressed because I feel yuck that I'm not in a space that really lights me up. And I know that it also will burn me out over a period of time. I have been in that loop multiple times enough to know that it exists for me, for some of my clients. And maybe that's a similar story for you too, which is maybe why you're watching this, because you want to understand how to stop attracting more generic clients and more specific clients instead. So you have to really sit down and nut out, looking at the clients you've helped in the past or looking at the services, what you're truly passionate about, what you love, what are these people's problems and how is it that you can help solve them? So an example of this is in the past, when I worked with lots of different service-based business owners. Being a coach, I loved working with other coaches. I loved working with people who were really passionate about helping other people in the coaching and mentoring space. Now, over the last 10 years, we've seen an evolution in online content marketing, and it's been a heavier shift towards video content as opposed to visual graphic content instead. So it has required a shift in the way in which people like myself are marketing and doing marketing for other people. Now, for me, I tried, I really, tried to be able to keep up with that trend. But what I found is that in order to create all that video content, it's a lot of time and a lot of energy, and it would cost a lot of money. And the clients in which I work with, they're not in that world of budget. It also doesn't light me up, right? And so therefore I shifted away. And again, right, a lot of coaches right now, they may not need, you might be a coach or a mentor. You may not be doing a lot of video. And that's totally okay. It's your marketing plan. But later on, I am going to talk to you about the power of that. So as a content creator, I could just tell my clients to continue to do posts or graphic-based posts and content. But I know that their strategy is being let down if they don't have video incorporated in their content plan. And I also know, based on the amount of clients I've worked with and amount of analyzing and reporting and tracking all of this as a strategist, I also know that the more video you can put out there, the more that the algorithms like it, the more that people engaged, and the more you start to see, online people starting to come into your business and ask more questions. So knowing that there had to be a heavier shift for personal-based brands, I had to ask myself, is this what I want to do moving forward? I loved working with those clients. I didn't necessarily love doing the style of content that needed to be created because it took a lot of energy out of me and it wasn't in my wheelhouse of expertise. So therefore, I shifted, right? Still helping service-based business owners, but looking at different problems that I could help solve instead. Does still include video, but it's not so heavily personal brand orientated that it is like some service-based businesses are out there. So it's always evolving, right? Because when I started business 10 years ago, I was helping a different person, and I continue to help and pivot and change and define my ideal client based on the evolution of myself and my business too. And that will be the same for you. So you might sit down today, or you might have sat down in the past and gone, but I've already looked at my customer avatar and I nailed that 5 years ago, 3 months ago, however long ago it is. It continues to evolve as you evolve. So it is constantly a question you have to continue to ask yourself: who is the person that I'm trying to reach? What are their problems? How do I help the problem? Now, in this space, I don't recommend going to look at your competitor to find out what problems they're solving, because they might not be the problems that you're an expert in solving. So look at your past clients, look at the things that you've helped them do, and really nail down what you're an expert in and what makes you passionate about helping those people, because that is also making you an expert in that space. So that would be my first step. Sit down and really truly work out who it is that your posts are going to, so that the person that sees them knows that they're either for you or they're not for you. And again, we'll talk about the creation of content in right next. So the step 2 would then be looking at the mix of the content that you're sharing. Okay, so you've nailed who it is that you're wanting to attract to your business. Now, I get 2 types of clients, people who come to me at this part, and when I start looking at their content. And the first question I ask myself is there a balance? And what I mean by that is in fact, all of them, I am seeing heavily promotional based content. So these people know who their ideal client is, and all of the content that they're sharing is marketing their services that are available. The flip side of that is that there's no promotion of services that they offer or how they could book or how they help people. Instead, it's all educational focused and trust building content. And sometimes fun, right? Because we like to have a bit of a goof around in the social media world as well. Now, the challenge with this is that if you're always promoting to people, people don't engage. We might think, but if I tell them I've got this available, then they'll want to book it. Now, if that's all we're telling them is what's available, then how do they get to know who we are, and how do we get to build any trust, right? How do they get to know that the problem I solve is for them and in order to book? So it's great that people are being really confident, because sometimes it's really scary putting the promotional posts out there. So when you put solely promotional posts out there, you're missing out on building a relationship with the person who wants to walk through your door but doesn't know why yet. Now, the flip side is that some business owners are great at sharing the why. They are great at showing the problems that they solve, but they forget to tell the person how it is that they can go ahead and book that service. So we might think, but isn't that logical? If we're putting content out there talking about the problems that we're solving, should that person not automatically think, send them a message, or I'll go to their website and book a time? No, not always. Some people, yes, but not always. The majority, no. We are looking with our literal brain. We're reading, we're engaging, we're scrolling, we are enjoying, being in the vortex. So we're not necessarily wanting to get out of the vortex because we're scrolling to go and look at a website or send a message or book an appointment, right? So we have to remind that person that that's what they need to do, right? If they've seen our content a lot and we've built that relationship with people, we have to say, hey, go ahead and make that booking. This service is available. Here is my special for the month. I've got X amount of appointments available, last chance appointments available on the weekend. I've got this free resource that you can download. I've got, this service that available to offer. So depending on what your goals are and the services that you're wanting to promote more, which can be seasonal or personal or what have you, we need to be able to put those offers in front of the people who are engaged by our content, who the content is showing we can solve the problem of, and say, hey, this service or this offer is great for you, and here is how you can get it. So what I found was, and I get this frequently with a lot of our clients that I work with, is that when they start working with us, the ones who are a bit more established in the online world, their content is heavy in one direction. I shared some results earlier this week, which depending on when you look, I share results all the time. Most of the results that I share are based on, all we did was change the content plan so that there was a mix and sometimes change the style of the content that is constantly being put in front of people's faces. Now, these results are astronomical in terms of the growth and in terms of the potential client inquiries. So if you know who your ideal client is and you feel like you're talking really well to them, then my next suggestion to you is look at the balance of content that you're putting out in front of people's faces. Now, that also brings me to the format in which you are using to get in front of these people's faces. So, as I mentioned before, 10 years ago, video was great. It wasn't as popular as what it is today. It's continuing to grow. Video has always been king for the whole 10 years that I have been in business. I've been banging on about this for 10 years. But again, if you're not using a mix of the content, then you're missing out on engaging with your online audience as well. So if I'm only posting single photos with some text, then I'm only talking to one person that likes that style of content to be in my feed. So look at that content. And if that's you, then here's my suggestion. My first suggestion is incorporate carousels. So still a graphic, so either done by yourself in Canva or done by a professional, depending on the look that you're wanting to promote your business with. So carousels they're the ones that you slide through. There's multiple slides. Now, these are really great because you get to share more information across different slides and the one doesn't look so congested. So you get more of a message out in multiple ways. Now, another reason why this style of graphic or post is really great is because on Instagram, when it goes out maybe the first time, if I'm scrolling, I might see graphic number 1 and I might look at it and I might go through them all, or I might keep scrolling because that one hasn't grabbed my attention. Now, the algorithm will then try again in front of your ideal customer because algorithms know, people that look, if you're nailing who that person is, they know to put that content back in front of that person's face, but they might try a different slide. So for the people that have been through and looked at everything, they might exit out on slide 3. So therefore they know that slide 2 could be it's continued to remain engaging. So they'll put it back through the post feed and they will show post 2 slide 2 as opposed to slide 1. So it's going multiple times in the feed to try to engage with multiple different people. So multiple slides, one post being shared more than once to help you get in front of your client target. So then you can also look at video. Now, as I've said, video is king. I personally don't recommend having an entire feed of video because, again, then you're only targeting one type of person. Myself, I don't really watch a lot of video, right? I might watch some funny reels. I like to send my friends reels. I'm just like everybody else. I've got conversations with some of my close girlfriends that are simply just sending reels back and forth. They're very humorous, right? That's a different style of content and a different type of person putting that content out there. For us professional service-based business owners, we might put a little bit of that shareable content, but we're also wanting to educate our client and promote the services and how we help them. So it could be like this one here, where I've taken this long format video and I've created a short clip which is engaging for people to listen to, and it will encourage them to listen to the full podcast. Maybe I want to talk about one of the services I've got. Maybe it's just my general thought process for the day. But I personally feel that if your feed is entirely video orientated, people like me that like to read and scroll are not going to find out about the services you've got available or who you are or how you could help me. So we're wanting to not only look at who our ideal customer or client is, but how we can create different types of content for them to be able to read, engage with, and view in the way that they want to. Now, vice versa, right? Those people that love video content, they aren't necessarily going to be reading the post, the text, and looking at the graphics that we've put together. They prefer video, so they engage more with video. So we want to be able to mix up our content, even if it's the same message, scattered throughout the month, but in a different way, then that's awesome. We're then putting our content in front of the same person, but in different ways for them to be able to engage in their chosen choice. Now, if you are doing video, then captions are 100% must. I think it's like 80 something percent of people watch video with sound off and read captions. So it's crucial that you use a platform to add the captions with. Now, I recommend using the platform to add captions because it looks really professional, but you can also change spelling, and sometimes AI doesn't quite get our words right. So therefore, we can make sure that the captions actually match what it is that we're talking about, because there has been times that are quite humorous on what AI thought I was saying to what I was actually saying, and I could change it. So they're the first two steps. Now, the next thing I look at is engagement in the community. Now, I talk to people all the time, right? One of my best friends, we were talking about trial reels the other day, and she said, Lou, they're getting millions of views, which was really exciting. It made me think, I need to do more of that as a strategy and try it myself. But the other part of my brain as a strategist says, well, that's great if things are getting millions of views, but is that doing anything for your business other than getting more views on the posts that you're putting out there? If you're not starting to see an increase in followers and you're not starting to see an increase in engagement, which is in comments, even like likes, but in comments or messages, then those millions of views are simply vanity, right? You're just getting a dopamine hit because lots of people saw the content that you put out there. So you really need to look at the data behind what posts are working really well, what was I talking about in those posts, and how can I mix more of that into my content plan so that I can continue to create that online community and engagement that those posts have been doing. Now, I also know, so engagement posts like real photos of us, sharing parts of our life, sharing fun facts about ourselves, they are generally higher engaging posts than this is the service I offer, or this is how I help people, or these are the results we've achieved, right? Because people aren't on social media to learn about our business. They're on there to be social and to, engage in people's lives. So those posts are really great. Now, they are great, but don't do them all the time, right? No one needs to know what you've had for breakfast 7 days of the week, maybe once a week, get that engagement flowing. So why it's great is because it shows that your audience is getting to know you and they're having a bit of fun with you, and that you are a fun, person that wants to still be active using a business in the online social media world. Now, the other thing that it does is that when people engage, it means more content will get put in front of their face. So if I post something about myself on a Monday, then on the Tuesday, all the people that have engaged with on the Tuesday who may not normally get my posts in their feed because of algorithm reasons, because they've engaged with my content, they might start seeing, or they will start seeing, more of my content in their news feed as opposed to having to go to my profile or my stories. So by creating that engagement, by showing a more personal presence, it is helping our other content to be seen. So again, that's, I guess, a really big bonus in what we're trying to achieve. So I don't recommend doing it every day, but sprinkle it through your content plan. And then look at all of the posts. So every month we get insights in the back end of Meta, and it shows us what our popular posts were and it shows us what weren't. Now, one of my clients I've been working with now for I think about 4 years, every month their community focused posts and real people posts outperform anything else. So what that tells us, we need to have a great balance in their marketing plan of, real people, because that's what their audience wants to see. This is a community-based business. And so instead of ignoring that and doing more curated content or more strictly professional all the time, we make an effort to be putting real life people, what they've been up to, out having fun or whatever it is that your business is, we make sure that we've got a really high mix of that in the content because it performs well. And then when we put the professional events, these people run events, when we put the event information in front of them, because all the other content has been so engaging, we know that they're also starting to see more of that event content too. And they feel like they're part of that community, and then they want to come along to the events that business offers. Now, again, I've been working with them for 4 years, and we know that to be proven because every quarter I do a report. Every quarter we see that grow. Community events and video are huge. Real life, they're not professional videos. They're simply someone's recorded, done a little bit of editing, added some captions, but constantly and consistently getting in front of more people, which then creates, and we watch it, more engagement, more comments, more messages. So really look at those numbers to know that the content you're putting out in front of your audience is being well received. And then you will know and you will feel confident that the content that you're doing is working for you. Right, then we have to look at consistency and frequency. So once you know who you're talking to and you've got the style of content kind of down packed, then we need to go, okay, well, this is what I do. I go, well, how often is this person posting? Now, sometimes I work with clients and they've not posted in months. What they do is great, but they're busy, right? You might be busy. I'm busy. I know I sometimes fall flat on my face in this department. So if you're only posting once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month, then all of the work that you've done before that in creating awesome content is kind of really working. It's not really working for you. I'm not going to say it's working against you because it's not, but that one post per month, gets the engagement, gets the comments, gets the messages that you want. But then you get busy and then it falls off and then you get quiet again and then you do that one post a month and you have the same reaction. So imagine what would happen if you could do that more regularly. Now, I'm not going to tell you that you need to do it 5 times a week or 7 times a week or multiple times a day. But if you could increase from 1 every now and then, 1 post to 3 per week, then that's going to be helping your business get in front of more people more often to be able to attract more paying clients. And then you can outsource the areas of the business that are not your expertise and don't light yourself up, right? So another thing is I know I do this. If I see a post online or I hear about something, I go look at their social pages. And if they haven't posted for a while, I actually think maybe that business has closed down. And then I'll go and find someone else that, I'll go and scroll a similar industry or, service that is available. Now, because I do it, I know that other people think that too. I'd like to say that I'm unique and I'm the only person in the world that has unique thoughts, but I'm not. So it's another reason to make sure that you are consistently present in your online marketing if you've chosen to be active in that department, because it shows your ideal clients that you are there, that you are present, and that you are available for them, and that you're available to help them. So it's crucial that you create a consistent plan to be able to keep to. We've been through 4 steps. Now, 5 steps. Now, the last one is looking at the results and the analytics. Now, we have talked a little bit about this in step 3 of the engagement and the community by looking at the different style of content that's going out and then the analytics behind that. Now, most people don't look at these numbers. Not everyone is a strategist, right? I get that some people don't care about numbers. It's not their job to be worrying about social media numbers. It's my job to be worrying about it because that's where I'm an expert. So consistently looking at the numbers, whether sometimes I get obsessed and I look at them daily depending on the post that's gone out, because I might be really excited about it or I might be really curious to see whether it's got the engagement I expected or whether it's fallen flat on its face, which sometimes happens too. But it's a real problem if you never look at the insights available to you and you're just creating a marketing plan again and again and again based on no feedback. That would be like, I don't know, if you had a weight loss goal, but you never stood on the scales and you just hoped, you just did the same thing every day, did the same gym program, ate the same food. If you never looked at how you were going to measure those results, then you wouldn't really know what was working and what wasn't. It's the same with, goodness, everything in life. So you've got, sport. I know that one of my friends, she's wanting to reduce how many putts she has every round. Now, if she doesn't count the putts to start with, then she won't know if she's ever reduced them, right? So if you're doing the same thing over and over again, but you've got no metric in order to measure, then you're never going to know if the result has changed. So sometimes in the marketing world, in the online marketing world, we just think, oh, well, I'm not getting any messages, so therefore this isn't working. Now, it takes a long time to warm up a cold audience in an online platform for them to convert into a paying customer and client. So just because you're not getting thousands of messages every day doesn't mean that your content isn't working. You can look at all of the other metrics, like I mentioned before, in terms of, views and growth and what else is there? There's engagement, comments, there's all of the other metrics that then lead to getting the messages coming into your inbox or through your website or email or however it is that your business is set up to receive them. So you have to remember that. Now, if you're not getting anyone liking your posts and they're not really going anywhere, and then you know that that's why no one's sending you any messages or going to your website. But there are lots of different ways that we can measure how our content is working for us and know if it's not working for us, which is, of course, the topic of this conversation. So a quick self-check to you is, do you know your top performing posts from the last 3 months and why they worked? So as I mentioned with one of our clients, we know that the community focus, like the real people, what they've been up to, work really well because every 3 months I look at that. Now, why it worked is, I'm going to say, because it's a real life human, because it's a community focused business, as are ours, right? It's not curated, it's not a professional photo, but these people, like that audience, reacts really well to that. Now, that's how I know that. And I know that because every 3 months it's the same, and every 3 months we see that content increase. So have a look at the content that you've been putting together, what has worked well and what hasn't. Now, another example, one client, in the beauty profession, we haven't used a lot of her photos. She doesn't have a lot to use. But recently I've started implementing more photos of her. And even though it's the same 2 photos kind of every 4 to 6 weeks, the eyeballs and the engagement on those photos is like 600% more than any other piece of content we put out there. So what does that tell me? Does that tell you? That tells us that her audience likes seeing her. So we need to somehow find a way to get more photos of her to put on the feed. So not just before and afters, and not just, videos of a service or a treatment that's available, but her, because her audience loves it. Now go and have a look at the content that you've been doing over the last 3 months and see what they love and what they don't love. And if you haven't been consistently posting, then look at what has happened. Look at what you think your audience has liked, do more of it, and then increase how much you're putting out there, and then continue to check it every 3 months to see what's working and what's not. So I really want to stress that all of this, to be able to know whether your content and your social media marketing is actually working for you, it is not about doing more. Well, unless you're currently doing nothing, then it is. But if you are putting consistent content in social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or any other platform, if you are consistently doing that and nothing's happening, then these 5 steps will give you the opportunity to go ahead and try to work out what it is and why it isn't working for you. Because there's no point doing the same thing over and over again, because it will get you nowhere. And you're investing a lot of time and energy and resources into creating this marketing, so you want to see it working for you. Otherwise, you may as well just go back to face-to-face networking and have that as the main strategy of your business. Now, if you've listened to this and you're like, oh my goodness, I've got no idea where to start, or I just don't have the time or the energy to want to go ahead and analyze all of that, then as I mentioned at the start, I do offer a social media audit where I use those 5 steps to analyze what you're currently doing, so that you then, when we go through it together, you can see what has worked, what hasn't worked, and I give you practical steps to be able to implement to start moving your marketing needle forward. So if you want to have one of these reports done for you, then you just have to send me a message. I've put the link about them in the show notes, and you can reach out to me to find out more information as well. So that is today's podcast. I hope that you have found this super valuable. As I said, this is like what I talk about all day long, all the time. You know, it is my main area of expertise, being able to analyze content and create better content to be getting the results that I want to achieve in my own business, but also the results that my clients want to achieve when they work with me, either when I do their content or mentor them in their own business. And that's not just through promoting their business, but also promoting their podcast. So that wraps up today's episode of why your social media isn't working, even though you're doing everything right. Because you might be doing everything right, but you might not be doing it in the right way. So go ahead, follow those 5 steps, send me a message, let me know what you think, let me know how you get on. Otherwise, I truly, truly hope that this is giving you some insight on how you can start utilizing social media platforms to work for you and your business as opposed to you just working for it. Thanks so much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Thanks so much for being here. If this episode resonated with you, feel free to share it with a friend, colleague, or fellow business owner who might need to hear it as well. And if you'd like a copy of the Client Attraction Method, you can download it via the link in the show notes. I'll see you in the next episode.